Something about today may force you to admit that what looked playful was never really light, and what felt like loyalty may not have been supporting your future at all. Aries. If a conversation suddenly gets serious, if a flirtation exposes a deeper emotion, or if you catch yourself wondering whether a friendship, group, or social pattern has been quietly shrinking your power, that is not your imagination. The astrology of Thursday, 20th of August 2026, suggests a day when charm stops being enough and honesty becomes the real turning point. And the uncomfortable part is this: the issue may not be what someone else is doing. It may be what you have outgrown. The strongest emotional weather here comes through Scorpio energy moving across your 8th house terrain of shared resources, trust, vulnerability, and deeper entanglements. In the Western perspective, the Scorpio moon presses on all the places where you cannot stay superficial for long, especially while it forms a square to Mercury in Leo, activating your 5th house of romance, pleasure, creativity, and self-expression. That tension can show up in surprisingly human ways. A joke lands badly because someone wanted the truth. A romantic plan sounds fun until the money question underneath it gets exposed. A shared cost, a promise, or an emotional risk may suddenly require clearer terms. This is why the day can feel emotionally layered even when the situation itself looks simple on the surface. You may want a fast answer, but today's astrology leans toward the deeper answer. And yet there is another current running underneath all of this, and it is bigger than one conversation. Pluto's longer cycle is still reshaping your social world, especially anywhere an old friendship, network, or group identity has already begun to fall away. If someone has left, if a connection has cooled, or if you are realizing you no longer belong in a certain social pattern, that loss may feel personal at first. But current transits suggest this is not random demolition. Pluto tends to remove what limits your influence so that you can discover how much power, effectiveness, and control you actually have when you stop fitting yourself into roles that were too small. What looks like exile from an old circle may actually be the beginning of a stronger public and personal presence. That is the deeper open loop of today. The thing that feels awkward now may be the very thing that frees you. There is also a contrasting daily emphasis that highlights Libra themes around relationship balance, and that can make you more reactive than usual. Some astrologers would describe this as a tendency toward competitiveness, impatience, or unnecessary force, especially if your ego feels challenged. So if you notice yourself becoming more assertive, more demanding, or more eager to win a point than to understand it, pause there. The energy is high, yes, but high energy is not always clean energy. Today rewards precision over pressure. It rewards the Aries who can act with courage and self-command, not the Aries who mistakes intensity for truth. This becomes especially important in love, money, and ambition, because those areas are not separate today. What begins as a romantic misunderstanding may actually reveal a financial imbalance. What starts as a money discussion may expose a trust issue. What feels like chemistry may be asking for emotional definition. If you are dating, flirting, or testing a connection, the Scorpio-Mercury square suggests you may be tempted to keep things witty, charming, or slightly evasive when someone asks a serious question. But dodging the truth, even beautifully, changes the mood for a reason. Passion grows more safely when both people know whether they are playing, promising, or truly opening up. If you are partnered, misunderstandings can be cleared, but only if both people stop pretending the real issue is smaller than it is. And here is the insight worth holding on to today. What feels like pressure is not always rejection. It may be clarity trying to arrive. That is the aha in this chart. The same astrology that can make a conversation feel heavier can also protect what matters by defining it. The same tension that interrupts your fun can restore your joy by making the terms fair. In other words, honesty is not killing the romance, the trust, or the dream. Honesty is the thing that gives it a structure strong enough to survive. That same principle applies to money. The quarter moon in Scorpio spotlights shared resources and future security, asking you to treat finances not as a mood but as a strategy. Money is energy, yes, but energy needs direction. If you have been earning and burning without a plan, today favors an audit. Save more deliberately. Review what is owed, shared, promised, or invested. If you have done your homework, this can be a supportive day for an investment mindset, but not for impulse. It may also be time to consult someone wiser than you in this area, whether that is a professional, a a financial educator, or a practical friend who can help you see your habits more clearly. The goal is not fear. The goal is not fear. The goal is control. On the personal side, family and familiar bonds want attention too. Reconnecting with a sibling or making time for a simple, enjoyable conversation could remind you that not every meaningful bond has to be complicated to be nourishing. Even your environment matters today. Reducing waste, being more conscious of what you consume, and acting with more intention in small daily choices can help settle your nervous system. When life feels emotionally dense, grounded actions restore inner order. So move carefully, but do not shrink. Speak plainly, but do not become harsh. If a coworker is difficult, stay calm. If love surprises you, let it unfold without pretending you feel less than you do. If your future suddenly seems to require better boundaries, better numbers, or better company, trust that signal. Today favors brave truth over polished performance. And if you need a practical edge, the most favorable window for important tasks and meetings falls between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m., with wine red carrying a supportive tone for your energy. By the end of the day, the real victory is not that you kept everything comfortable. It is that you saw clearly what is worth your heart, your trust, your money, and your next chapter.